These are the people that are selling your country out currently.
Section 224 actually improves oversight and accountability of these programs by designating a single official responsible for them. Claims that this provision somehow cedes authority to a foreign government are simply ridiculous.
Okay.
I urge all members.
So it's simply ridiculous. It's not actually, because you know who's picking the person who's going to oversee this entire thing? The person who picks that is Pete Hegseth. Yeah. He's the we'll rebuild the third temple Christian Zionist who's completely for this and bought by them. That's the guy. So you're putting the person who's already subservient to the foreign country in charge of the merger process. That is not, you can't, Congress has no power to remove that power either. There's nothing. It's a lock-in finger trap. You know, Chinese finger trap. Harder you pull, the more it fucks it up. Basically, to get out of this thing, we have to. It'd be like removing two Chinese twins. Yeah, that's it. Like one of them's a parasitic one attached to the other one, and if they remove it, the other one will die. They'll both die. That's what they're setting up. Okay.
To oppose the amendment, and Mr. Smith, ranking member is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm actually very sympathetic with some aspects of the remarks of Mr. Khanna about the frustration we have with Netanyahu's leadership in Israel. We have endless wars now in Gaza, in the West Bank, for that matter, in Lebanon. No effort to negotiate, no effort to...
Notice he keeps saying we. We don't have endless wars. We don't have a war with Gaza. We don't have a war at the West Bank. We don't have anything like that. This is an American politician. We and they don't have wars in Gaza and the West Bank. So pay attention to that. They keep saying we when they're talking about Israel.
Find partners for peace amongst the Palestinians or the Lebanese, even where there are opportunities to do that. Mr. Netanyahu insisted on this war with Iran that has strengthened Iran and weakened our position. I do not like his leadership of Israel or where he is going, but the way this amendment was described is simply not accurate. To begin with, and let's be very clear on that, this is not a new framework. It's not a new framework at all. We have 3 existing programs right now where we do military cooperation with Israel to develop technologies. Those programs are...
And here's the other thing. They're using pre-existing oversteps as justifications for more. Yeah, just because there's some things in there that we're already doing doesn't mean those things that we're already doing are okay. That's why we've gotten in the situation we are, because they're normalizing things. They put something in, it freaks everyone out, it's a shitty time, and then they normalize it. Be like, well, it's already in there, so we just put, this is nothing new. No, it's not. It doesn't mean we wanted the fucking first thing. So, yeah, eat it.
Already exist. This amendment doesn't create a single other program other than those 3. It suggests some other areas where maybe we should look at opportunities.
Yeah, suggests, it leaves the language open. Very open. And we all know the legal world, if something's open to interpretation, it's what? Open to interpretation. Yeah, exactly. That's why the legal system has made its entire premise, the language is making things out of words. They take a word and you define a definition. That's why when you're arguing with someone, you go, let's get our definition straight. When you say this, I define that as this. Can we agree on that definition? So if you're not if you don't lock down your definitions and there's vague language in there, it's a fucking heyday. It's an open goddamn shooting range to do whatever the fuck you want with it. If someone says, oh, well, let's synchronize this. Well, what's synchronize mean? To what effect? Like, to what degree? Synchronizing what? Okay, and if someone says, oh, and other things, well, what are other things? We need to define what other things are. This is riddled with potholes like that.
And as the chairman noted, we had somebody now appointed to coordinate those programs. This amendment comes at a very bad time because of everything I just said.
So yeah, they're leaning on this whole thing. We've appointed someone, so the Americans get to appoint someone who's going to oversee this whole mess going on. Okay, that's not a guarantee of anything. That actually makes it worse because the person they picked was picked by Pete Hegseth, who's already compromised. We know he is. He's part of this whole team. So that doesn't bring me. They picked a guy who's already supporting and doing the bidding of a foreign lobby and a foreign agent. Okay, Pete Hegseth's advisor, his main military advisor, is a Jewish guy, an Israeli, who has a law practice in Jerusalem. Yeah, Yeah, that's who's in charge of Pete. That's where he's getting his advice from, is a dual citizenship Jew who's from Israel. What the fuck? And that's who they're saying. They're like, well, we get to be in charge, though, so it's okay. Israel's not in charge. We are. No, Israel's still in charge because the motherfucker you put in charge of picking that guy has an Israeli fucking councilman guy. His head counsel. The guy he gets all his information from and he gets all his advice from. He makes his decisions based on this guy. This guy's his handler. He's an Israeli. So, no, we're not in charge. We didn't get to select anyone who's pro-American. We got to select someone who's compromised and run by Jews already. So what the fucking whoop-de-doo? This is not a talking point.
Said about Israel, but let's not forget about what the amendment actually does. And the other part of this, and I agree with the chairman, to say that this is us bowing to the bidding of Israel on this is completely inaccurate. The reason we're doing this is because we benefit from that technology development. We developed the weapon systems. And the reason that we
Yeah, we developed the weapon systems. Bringing them in on the fold doesn't do anything for us. We don't need the Israelis for tech. If you look at all the Israeli tech that we've benefited from, most of it comes from companies here in the United States that they just happen to sponsor a lot of and pay money for using our tax dollars. It's like, it's a circular system that's already fucked. We don't need any help with our technology. We have some of the best technology in the world. We work with Russia. We work with China. We work with Ukraine. We have little tech deals going with a lot of different people. We don't merge access. That's the difference. And I'll go over some of these points that these guys are all completely shielding and they're sure to ignore.
have these partnerships with Israel where we may not have as many developed partnerships with other NATO countries is because Israel's actually been having to fight. They have faced drone attacks.
They haven't been having to fight. They've been attacking people. This is another bullshit point. They've faced drone attacks because they're in other people's countries trying to fucking take it over and bombing civilians and killing women and children.
Attacks and missile attacks. They have had to develop new technologies that we've benefited from. So I agree with the sentiments and the frustrations with the Netanyahu government. I strongly disagree with the notion that this is Congress just bowing to what Netanyahu wants.
As he's bowing to what Netanyahu wants. Literally a bill that Netanyahu wrote himself and got Congress to put in, and now everyone's going along with it. That's literally bowing to a foreign government. This is a wanted motherfucker, too, by the ICJ, ICC. He's got warrants out all over the fucking world for war crimes and genocide, and our country is just merging up with him. Like, do you care about public opinion? Do you care about... We're not the country that should be genociding people. And now we're fused with their fucking military. That puts a stain on this country that's so black and deep that we're not going to get out of it, even if this country makes it, which it's not going to after this whole shit. They're going to use and abuse us because you think they're spending our money now when we're just sending them aid. Just think when they merge up with us and they have a bottomless pit that they can take money from and just put it under black budget projects so they don't have to disclose. It's ridiculous.
Wants. This is to our benefit. Now, I would suggest, and this just occurred to me this morning, we ought to be doing the same thing with Ukraine.
No.
Because Ukraine is another partner that is having to fight and learning. We should develop drone technology, counter-drone technology, counter-missile technology.
We don't need other countries to do that. We have scientists. We have people here with brains. We don't need to be merging with other countries to do this kind of stuff, to figure these things out. We have perfectly capable people here with perfectly capable brains. I mean, I know they've been dumbing us down with all these chemtrails shit and all this stuff and putting stuff in the food and all this crap. It's all a bunch of garbage, but there's still capable people here. We don't need to be merging our militaries with other countries. Why? We don't need to do that. It's not okay. They have a problem with people coming over the border. They have a problem with people bringing in other religions and this kind of stuff, and you want to merge militaries? That doesn't make any fucking sense. It makes no sense.
Technology. This is a partnership that benefits America. A whole host of other issues. You know, I'm a prime sponsor of the West Bank Accountability Act to sanction the actions that are going on there, things we need to hold accountable. But taking a step back from using technology that is available to us just because we strongly disagree with where Israel is at right now, I think would be a mistake. So I think this is a program that helps us develop these technologies. It's not an expansion. And again, I want to make it very clear, this is not a new framework. This framework has existed for quite some time. So I hope we will not mischaracterize this and we'll vote on this amendment that is in front of us, not on the larger issue of how we deal with Netanyahu's government in Israel. I urge a no vote.
Well, we certainly don't deal with Netanyahu's government or his actions by giving him benefits and access to our country. How about that? You can't just keep doing this whole thing. You either have to be with them or against them. You can't like, oh, we don't agree with what you're doing here, but we're still going to kiss your ass and give you what you want. That sends mixed messages. It's fucking ridiculous. And handing over the fucking keys to the White House and to the military now, integrating to a genocidal maniac, is probably the dumbest fucking thing you could possibly do. You know, I just don't see a way around this. It's ridiculous.
Vote, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back, and he makes an excellent point about Ukraine. I think he's right.
Bullshit.
We should go to Mr. Bacon of Nebraska right now.
I'll keep it brief. This is a win-win relationship. We have Silicon Valley. Israel has Tel Aviv, and it's like Silicon Valley #2. We have gained so much technology advantages from our partnership with Israel, and vice versa, they gain as well. And this,
like what? Like, name one fucking... None of these guys have named anything we've actually gained from them. Name what technology have we gotten from them?
this is what we're trying to do, is create that synergy. They support our foreign policy. They've been the most supportive of us in the UN.
Of course they support our foreign policy, because our foreign policy is written by them, you jackass.
They're the only democracy in the Middle East. And
No, they're not. They're not a democracy. They're an apartheid state who's committing genocide. That's not a democracy.
So I'll oppose the amendment. I'll yield back.
And yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Wilson of South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Indeed, I agree with the ranking member, and that is that we benefit from our association with the people of Israel. They have been instrumental because they're in a real war of enemies who are trying existentially to murder all the people of Israel. And with
These fucking fools.
that, we've learned so much about anti-missile capability and to protect the American people, to protect the people, all of...
The only reason the American people would be in any kind of danger right now is because of the shit Israel's making us do. If we just left all this shit alone, we just got out of the Middle East. We're done over there. And the whole reason we're there in the first place is because of these fucking psychotic motherfuckers. So I'm going to go over a couple points. I'm done hearing these jackasses parrot their goddamn Israeli talking points. I had Claude break down this bill, what's actually going on in this thing, and just go over it with you here. So here's the kind of hidden, unforeseen things and the stuff that they didn't even talk about. They're not going to mention, of course, when they're saying, oh, there's nothing wrong with this bill and everything's fine and there's nothing new. So there's an executive agent with superseding authority that's in this. The bill designates a single executive agent responsible for all U.S.-Israeli defense cooperation. Per DoD instructions, authority takes precedence over DoD component heads. This means the EA, the person they put in charge of this whole thing, could overrule the Defense Technology Security Administration, the agency responsible for controlling foreign access to sensitive U.S. technology, on questions of Israel access. So, no congressional confirmation is required for the position, and Congress has no removal authority. This creates an unaccountable single point of control over the entire bilateral relationship, insulated from legislative oversight. Yeah, there's some issues with that. Number 2, let's go over this. Synchronizing cooperative efforts. No definition, no limit. The word synchronizing is undefined in the text. In the DoD practice, synchronization implies aligning planning cycles, operational timelines, and resource allocations. Applied here, it could mean Israeli defense priorities are baked into U.S. acquisition planning before Congress ever votes on a budget line. The vagueness gives the EA essentially unconstrained interpretive authority over what synchronization requires. So, these are all pretty bad. There's a bunch of them. And let me just take a second here. I got to catch my breath. I'm a little worked up, all right? Okay, I feel a little bit better. Now, number 10 here, we're going to jump to number 10 because this one's the most alarming. Section A2 frames the arrangement around protecting the national security interests of the United States and Israel as a unified concept. This assumption is written into the operative text of the law. It forecloses the legal and policy space to argue that U.S. and Israeli interests diverge on a given technology or operation, because the statute treats them as coterminous. This is not an administrative assumption. If enacted, it becomes a statutory premise embedded in U.S. law, which means if they want to do something like commit genocide, we're along with it. Yeah, this is like, and this is a precursor to, this is, so okay, look at big picture. They just created a law. They automatically enlist your kids into the selective service, the draft. They're eligible for the draft. They don't have to register themselves. They're already registered. Okay? That's an issue. Now you got Thomas Massey just lost his seat to a draft supporting, draft advertising advocate, Ed Galrine, who was promoted by the Israeli lobby, Miriam Adelson. They spent $30 million to get this guy in there and to get the anti-draft Epstein file wanting released Thomas Massey out. So now we have this framework. They say it's nothing new. It frames the arrangement around protecting the national security interest of the United States and Israel as a couple, as a group. So any war the Israelis want to start, or continue for that matter, which is the entire fucking Middle East, they're going to want to go. And guess who's not going to want to fight those wars? The American people. Now guess how they're going to get them to do it? By drafting their asses. You imagine the kids these days on their fucking phones and TikToks getting a goddamn letter in the mail saying they've been drafted? They'll probably have a text message alert, like an Amber Alert. You've been drafted, son. These fucking kids are not even going to think it's real. They're going to be like, oh, whatever, man. And they're going to fucking go about their way. This is real shit. All those dumbass fucking kids from that goddamn generation are going to be fucking thrown over there into the Middle East at 18, 19 years old, not having any fucking idea how to even make top ramen or how to do anything for that matter. All they can do is play on their fucking phones and grunt about stuff. They hardly even speak English. These kids are kids. They haven't even experienced life yet, and you're going to throw them into a war for Israel? They won't know what the fuck to do. This is insanity. They'll probably be over there fucking influencers filming themselves getting shot at. It's going to be nuts. Yeah, so there's that. And next, we have no sunset clause, no performance threshold, no exit mechanism. The text, as reproduced, contains no sunset provision, no congressional reauthorization requirement, no performance benchmarks triggering review, no mechanisms for the United States to withdraw from specific technology agreements once entered. The framework, once established, is self-perpetuating. And this guy's saying that there's nothing new. We already have stuff like this. If we already have stuff like this, then that's fucked as well. That's not a reason to perpetuate it. Avoiding duplication language, justification for canceling U.S. programs. The phrase to align efforts and avoid duplication in A5 is standard bureaucratic language with a sharp edge. It can be used to justify canceling or defunding domestic U.S. research programs in favor of existing Israeli solutions. If U.S. and Israeli programs overlap, the EA has a statutory hook to recommend eliminating the American version in favor of the Israel origin technology, further entrenching dependency. These guys thought all this shit through. You think they're going to fucking propose something that does us any benefit? No. No, the whole point is to keep us weak and them at the head of the snake. We are subservient. We are the bitch. They're going to use us, and they want our tax dollars and our bodies. That's it. And our work. They're going to have us working in their fucking factories. They're probably going to introduce some kind of thing that makes it sound like a good union job and yada, 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 and then get us in there and whoosh, draft your kids. You'll be working too much to think about them. Fuck them. So, number 7, subordination of DARPA, DIU, MDA, Spacecom to the EA. Section A5 gives the EA, the coordinating official, over DARPA, the Defense Innovation Unit, the Missile Defense Agency, the U.S. Space Command, and the military departments. These are among the most sensitive R&D and operational nodes in the entire defense establishment. Routing Israeli cooperation initiatives through all of them simultaneously under a single unconfirmed official, picked by who? Guess what? The Secretary of War Crimes, Pete Hegseth, creates an access surface across virtually every advanced capability the U.S. military is developing. And these people are the same people that fucking sell our secrets to China and Russia. Like, you're just giving it away to these fucking maniacs who have been parasitically suckling off us for years. And somehow just keeps this propaganda going that they're our greatest ally and they're the only democracy in the Middle East. They're not the only democracy in the Middle East. They're not even a democracy. They're fucking nuts. And okay, next we have network interrogation and data fusion. Data fusion. Why would we want to be fused with the Israelis? Why? Who? Network integration and data fusion. Okay. Undefined, unlimited. These two terms appear in the bill's stated scope but are never defined. Network integration in military context typically refers to connecting and command and control architectures. Data fusion refers to combining intelligence and sensor feeds into shared operational pictures. Left undefined and delegated to an unconfirmed EA, this language could authorize Israeli military's access to U.S. battlefield data streams, ISR feeds, and communication architecture with no specific limits, oversight mechanisms, or sunset provision. You're telling me the fucking kings of false flag events on us is going to know all our shit, what we're doing? You know, this is going to go fucking bad. This is going to go ape shit bad. Okay. Joint ventures, licensing agreements, and co-production. Yay. By American circumvention. Section A4 establishes frameworks for Israeli companies to manufacture inside the United States. This sidesteps Buy America provisions in federal procurement law, which are specifically designed to protect the domestic defense industrial base. Additionally, licensing agreements could hand Israeli defense firms intellectual property for systems they directly compete against in the international arms market, a direct commercial advantage extracted from U.S. taxpayer-funded R&D. Awesome. Okay, next. Procurement and acquisition pathways. Bypasses annual appropriations. Section A3 explicitly directs transition from R&D to procurement combined with the EA's authority. This creates a pipeline that embeds Israeli origin systems into formal DoD buying programs, which are governed by multi-year contracts, not annual appropriations. Once a system enters procurement, it's shielded from the annual budget process, and this is the mechanism by which the arrangement becomes resistant to future political will. Chew on that for a second. Now, 3. We got one left after this. Programs of record integration near irreversible. Section A1 targets integration of Israeli origin technologies directly into the U.S. programs of record. Once the technology is embedded into the program of record, it becomes extraordinarily difficult to remove. It triggers contract modification, recertification requirements, and industrial-based disruption. Future administrations or Congress opposed to the arrangement would face prohibitive political and financial costs to undo it. This is a structural lock-in mechanism. Okay? Told you it was bad. Synchronizing cooperative efforts. No definition, no limit. The word synchronizing is defined in the text. In DoD practice, synchronization implies aligning planning cycles, operational timelines, and the resource allocation. Applied here, it could mean that Israeli defense priorities are baked into the U.S. acquisition planning before Congress ever votes on the budget timeline. The vagueness gives the EA essentially unconstrained interpretive authority over what synchronization requires. Remember what I said about definitions? We don't know. They don't define it. This is vague-ass language written by Netanyahu, who already has a plan for all of it. So, that's what we're dealing with here. These people are motherfuckers, and they're full of shit. Now, let's go back to the rest of it. Take a look.
Our allies from Turkey to Saudi Arabia back to Azerbaijan. And so also, it should be known that it should be not a surprise that this is beneficial to the American people, and that we have a regime that is chanting death to Israel, death to America, death to the great Satan, which is the United States, with the little Satan, which is Israel. This is not interconnected. And then we should also remember the Hamas covenant of August 1988. And Article 7 provides to chase down every Jew behind a rock or tree until you find the last Jew behind a rock and kill him. That's their plan. But after that, they come after us. We already see that with the nuclear capability that Iran is trying to develop, with missile capability one day might even reach California. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back, Chair, and I recognize Mr. Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Bottom line is Section 224 is a practical, common sense effort to improve defense technology cooperation.
Practical common sense effort. Right.
With one of
Gotcha.
America's closest allies.
Not a closest ally. These people are full of shit. They're genocidal maniacs. We don't have anything in common with them. They suck.
In an area that will directly affect U.S. military readiness. I think to get to the heart of the matter in some ways, opponents of Section 224 are really allowing a broader political disagreement. It's concerns about Israel, some of which you can debate could be legitimate, but they're allowing a much broader political disagreement to override a program that fundamentally advances U.S. national security. What Section 224 does not do is reduce oversight of U.S. military sales to foreign governments. It doesn't reduce oversight of cooperation with Israel. It does not provide Israel with access to U.S. military data. Section 224 does not give Israel control over U.S. defense programs or supply chains. It does not provide any kind of backdoor way to hide military aid to Israel. And it does not merge or fuse the U.S. military in any way with the Israeli defense forces. That is all false. What it will do is...
So you heard, I think I just went over, this guy's completely full of shit. This is a complete lie. He just basically said everything the bill is going to do, he said it's not going to do. And we just went over it. I had that goddamn whole bill analyzed 10 different ways by 10 different GPTs. He's full of shit.
Increased congressional oversight and transparency over an existing partnership with Israel. What it will do is build on an existing cooperative program that has been in place for years. And what it will ultimately do is help save American lives, American service members' lives in particular, and strengthen U.S. national security. I yield back my time.
How does that motherfucker sleep at night? Save American lives. The American lives we've lost, the attacks on American soil, were from the Israelis. The reason we were at war and we lost, 8,000 troops for the last 20 years and cost us trillions of dollars in debt is because of the Israelis. Yeah, we've been doing their bidding forever. Fucking buddying up with these motherfuckers has been the worst thing that's ever happened to the country by a long shot.
Gentleman yields back. Chair, and I recognize the gentlelady from California, Ms. Jacobs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The United States should have the same standards for Israel as we do for...
This is the only other person who was in support of Ro Khanna's amendment to remove this from happening. This is the only other person. One of them. Yeah, one. Plus the guy who put in the bill, Ro Khanna. That's it. That's what we're dealing with here. We're completely occupied. This isn't even our country anymore. These are a bunch of fucking plants, spies, you name it.
Everyone else. If any other country in the world had been credibly accused of violating U.S. and international law again and again, of killing tens of thousands of civilians, of blocking food and medicine from reaching a starving population, we would not be moving to deepen and permanently expand our military ties with them. And yet, that is exactly what Section 224 of this bill proposes. Since October of 2023, the Gaza Health Ministry has counted more than 70,000 Palestinians killed in Gaza, a number that the Israeli military itself has now reportedly accepted. Another 1,079 Palestinians, at least 235 of them children, have been killed in the West Bank. Settler violence has reached unprecedented levels, and the Israeli Security Cabinet has approved 34 settlements in the West Bank, another violation of international law. But even against that backdrop, Section 224 would institutionalize and expand U.S. military integration beyond anything in the history of the relationship, fusing our defense industries across research, production, and emerging technologies. And for my colleagues who say that this vote is actually not about the actual provision, it is. Emerging technology is not an abstraction. It means cyber. And that is one field where we have already had to act against an Israeli firm for turning its tools on us. In 2021, the Commerce Department blacklisted NSO Group, the maker of Pegasus spyware, for malicious cyber activity against U.S. interests after its software was used to target government officials and journalists. 2 administrations from both parties left it on that list. And that same company is right now trying to buy its way into the American market. Fusing our defense and technology sectors together permanently with no conditions in the exact area where we have already been burned is reckless on its own terms. And it would do it through a must-pass bill with almost no oversight and with none of the human rights conditions that govern the rest of our security assistance. We already have laws on the books that tell us what to do in this situation. The Leahy Law prohibits assistance to foreign militaries that have committed gross violations of human rights. The Foreign Assistance Act prohibits arms transfers to countries that are restricting U.S. humanitarian aid, and Israel has been consistently blocking and restricting humanitarian assistance. These laws exist, and they're not being followed or enforced. And instead of demanding enforcement, this committee is proposing we reward that conduct. This committee should enforce the laws we've already passed and condition offensive weapons as those laws require, not permanently entrench our militaries together with no strings attached. A clear majority of Americans, 60%, already oppose sending more military aid to Israel. They will not support this, and neither should we. I urge my colleagues to support this amendment to strike Section 224. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back.
I like her, man. She said it right. But yeah, there are laws against this. We're not supposed to be having any kind of dealings with people who are, convicted of war crimes. We shouldn't be doing it. It's against the law. Also, this just in that they kind of whitewashed over last year. Remember, we were going to have that base there. We were talking to Qatar. We made this huge deal. We'd facilitated them to set up a base in Ohio, basically, where they were gonna train. We're gonna train F-16 pilots from Qatar. Basically, it's going to be a group joint venture there. So they're going to bring a base over here. It was going to be for the purposes of training Qatarians, yada yada yada. But part of that deal was that if anyone attacked Qatar, we would attack them. It was going to be unacceptable. So guess who went and fucking attacked them immediately after we signed that deal? Israel. And guess what we did about it? Not a fucking thing. Fucking disrespected them, blew the thing out of the water. Sorry, guys. Israel gets away with whatever you want. I know we had a deal, but, fuck you. So that's what we're dealing with here. Also, we're not supposed to be helping anyone who is not part of the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty. Yeah, you're not supposed to be doing any business with them. But we are. They've broken a fucking just laundry list of laws that we just, whatever. I don't care. But, if you get caught jaywalking or talking about Israel and the government here, if you get caught saying Netanyahu might be a genocidal maniac, or that the Israelis might be committing genocide, or might be a little bit like the Nazis they fucking describe so well, then you go to jail, motherfucker. But these guys can just fucking do anything they want. Once you hit that certain level there, you can be a fucking pedophile. You can kill whole groups of people. You can be fucking you can take over other people's governments, commit espionage all the time. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? But the laws, they're coming down on you. Pay your taxes. Shut the fuck up. So my name is Mr. Cox right here. Be sure to like and subscribe right here. And I hope you all have a good day. Take it easy. Bye.